What's going on, peeps? Luke Innes here. We're doing another DVD collection video, as you can see. Yeah, we're going at it good guns now. We're two or three, yeah, I'd say 3 parts away from being done for like the main lot of it. Then I'd have to show you all the stuff that I've bought since. So, you know, we're not done yet on this. We're definitely not done yet, but yeah, let's get on with it. I mean, I've got a nice big stack to show you today, so let's get to it. First up, Planet Terror. This is directed by Robert Rodriguez. When did I don't think I've seen this film since it was like new out, dude. I mean, I quite fancy Rose McGowan, so maybe I need to watch this again. She gets a little bit nudie in this, as I recall, which is, you know, nice. Basically like a sort of zombie movie, infection movie, in which this town gets overrun by zombies that are created out of a kind from like a chemical agent that has been released by the military or something. I can't quite remember exactly what it is, but it's something like that. But yeah, no, it's basically people running around shooting zombies, and some gags about slightly naff special effects and whatnot, because it's you know, a part of the Grindhouse double bill. Yeah, definitely not a bad movie. Planet Terror is pretty cool. It's better than Death Proof, which was the other half of the double bill, but yeah, definitely not a bad movie at all. I need to watch it again. I haven't seen it in ages. So yeah, that's Planet Terror. Next up, Predator 2. Now, I don't have Predator 1 with this because I have Predator 1 as part of a box set that I will be showing in a future video, a Schwarzenegger box set. But yeah, Predator 2 is the disappointing sequel. Not that disappointing. I suppose it's not terrible, really. I love that inner artwork. I think that's great. But I mean, yeah, Predator 2, it gets a bit of a bad rap. Yes, it's not great, but there's a lot more Predator in this movie. Lots of violence. I quite enjoy Predator 2. Obviously nowhere near the standard of the first, but then it was never going to be. Quite a different type of film. But not bad stuff at all. Predator 2 is a good movie. I haven't seen the more recent Predator movie, Predators, I think it was called. I've just seen Predator 1 and 2. But I should get hold of that eventually if I'm able to find it, that Predators. That round a bit. Okay, next up. Psycho. Yeah. Psycho. One of the big kind of watershed moments in horror history, Psycho. Going from these sort of Universal and monster movies and stuff, and Hammer, into a full-blooded modern day set serial killer movie. There's no fantasy about this. So yeah, that's kind of the, you know, Psycho's a big deal because of that. You know, it's a movie that is, you know, very real. The situation within is very real. So yeah, Janet Leigh plays what's her name, Luke? Come on, I've forgotten. She plays a woman who runs away, having stolen some money, ends up staying at a motel, the Bates Motel, and the guy who runs it is just a little bit weird. And yeah, things turn a bit stabby. So yeah, Psycho. I mean, it's a classic movie. If you haven't seen it now, then you probably won't. One thing I've got to say about Psycho, I checked out the trailer for this movie. The trailer is hilarious. It's about 4 minutes long. It's an insanely long trailer, and I don't think there's any footage from the film in it. It's just Alfred Hitchcock wandering around like locations from the film. It's very a very odd trailer, I've got to say. But no, interesting stuff to see, definitely. Next up, the Psycho Killer collection. So this contains, I've shown this a couple of times on the channel before, Maniac, House on the Edge of the Park, and the New York Ripper. This is from, it's from Scandinavia. It's got Scandinavian flags on the back. I think this is actually from Sweden. I'm not 100% sure on that. The reason I got this is because all three of the films on this set are cut in the UK currently. New York Ripper is... House on the Edge of the Park is still cut to the naked razor blade scene. Straight razor, sorry. The naked straight razor scene. The New York Ripper is cut to the razor blade around the nipple section. And Maniac is still quite heavily cut, but it hasn't been released in a long time. I think if Maniac gets a UK re-release anytime soon, it might well get through uncut. In fact, I would imagine it will. I believe the cut is to the exploding head scene, where the character played by Tom Savini gets his head blown off with the shotgun at close range. So yeah, like I say, Maniac, I imagine, will probably get through uncut one day. Incidentally, I have reviewed Maniac on the channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. That's a movie I think very highly of. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on Maniac, check that out. But the other two movies I like as well. So yeah, I mean, they're all sort of have a vague similarity, I guess. But a little bit loosely tied together. New York Ripper, a Lucio Fulci movie about a detective investigating a string of sexual molestations / killings in New York City. House on the Edge of the Park, a home invasion movie starring David Hess, directed by Ruggero Deodato, and Maniac, a slasher serial killer movie directed by Joe Spinell. All three worth seeing. So yeah, check that out if that sounds like your thing. Next up, Pulp, a film about life, death and supermarkets. I was a little bit disappointed by this because what I wanted was a documentary about a band that I love and about their getting back together, a little card with signatures on the back. I think this is, yeah, it's printed, it's not, yeah, no, that's definitely printed. But, you know, it's cool nonetheless. What I wanted was a documentary where the band were talking about getting back together and doing their final concert and all of that sort of thing. It's not really that though. It's really more a kind of quite a wanky documentary about, you know, the people of Sheffield and Pulp fans and stuff. It didn't really appeal to me at all, to be honest, watching it. I mean, I wanted to watch something about Pulp, but this was really about, you know, the people who know Pulp, which was not really what I wanted to watch. I mean, it was okay. The live stuff was obviously cool. There's a load of live stuff on the bonus disc and some band interviews and stuff. But, I mean, for the most part, yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment. But, you know, I don't mind a good rock doc here and there. So, yeah. Next up, Pulp Fiction. This is the one that is generally touted as being Tarantino's best movie. I disagree, though. Oh, this is... Back in the day, we had an ad campaign here to stop people buying pirate DVDs, in which a bloke called Knockoff Nigel would buy a pirate DVD from a street vendor, and then a bloke with an acoustic guitar would follow him singing a song about how he's Knockoff Nigel and he buys knockoff DVDs. I remember this particularly well because at the time I was playing a lot of rugby, and there was a guy on the team who had a particular adeptness for knocking the ball on. So his nickname was Knock On Nigel, although his name was not actually Nigel. Which, looking back on it, is less funny than I probably thought it was at the time. But anyway, back to the point. Pulp Fiction, Tarantino's episodic crime movie, kind of a, what do you call it? Like, it's more like a series of interweaved shorts in a way. Pulp Fiction, yeah, very interesting movie. I've got to say, it's an enjoyable movie. Probably my next favourite of Tarantino's work after Reservoir Dogs. It's either this or True Romance would be right behind Reservoir Dogs. But to be honest, I at least enjoy most of his work. But yeah, Pulp Fiction, a pretty cool movie. I'm sure pretty much everyone watching this has seen that, so I won't dwell on it. Next up, Quadrophenia, with a sideways cover. Yeah, Quadrophenia, it is the film adaptation of the concept album by British rock mainstays The Who. So yeah, basically the movie follows Jimmy, who's a young mod living in West London, who dreams of very few things other than taking lots of drugs and dancing to Kinks records and going to Brighton and fighting with rockers. And that's essentially what this whole movie's about. It's just about him, I guess, trying to find himself. Yeah, really interesting movie. If you're into British independent films, this is a key piece. You've got to see Quadrophenia. Yeah, really, really cool movie. Good stuff. So yeah. Next up, Rabid. This is a David Cronenberg movie. If you're not familiar with David Cronenberg, what the fuck are you doing here? You're in totally the wrong place. This is basically a zombie infection movie directed by David Cronenberg. Really interesting stuff. Basically, it stars Marilyn Chambers, the porn star, as a woman who's involved in a motorcycle crash. The closest hospital is actually like a plastic surgery specialist rather than an actual hospital. So they perform like the best procedure they can on her, and it leaves her with like this pincer thing under her arm that like shoots out and stabs anyone she can get near her. She's like starts hungering for blood, and this leads to like a rabies type infection that spreads to the point where it kind of reaches like pandemic levels or epidemic, whatever. Yeah, it's citywide is what it essentially amounts to. Really cool movie. Early work from Cronenberg. I believe this was the next thing he did after Shivers, but before Scanners. I get the order a bit confused, but I think that's what it is. I think this is the movie between Shivers and Scanners. So yeah, Rabid. Great movie. If you're into your zombie movies, then do check it out. Yeah, great stuff. Next up, I haven't gotten the chance to watch this yet. This is Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. Spoke about Hitchcock already in this one, but here we are again. Rear Window, from what I gather, it's another one of his thrillers. I've got to be honest, what I know about Rear Window comes from a parody of it in The Simpsons. So I think what happens is James Stewart is James Stewart is in a wheelchair with a broken leg, and he thinks one of his neighbours has committed murder. I haven't watched the movie yet, so I can't tell you whether it's any good or not, but I'd imagine so. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, no, it sounds interesting. I mean, I'm quite a big James Stewart fan and Hitchcock fan, and Grace Kelly's pretty cool as well. So I mean, I look forward to check that one out. So yeah, that's Rear Window. Next up, so I checked this one out not too long ago. Wreck, a found footage zombie movie. from Spain. Is it Spain? Yeah, Spain. Really short little movie. It's only 75 minutes. Basically, a TV news crew go off to do a report, film a report on the police station. Not the police station, the fire station, the fire service, and they end up going on a call out where they end up trapped in a tower block that is in quarantine, essentially, and they can't get out, and it turns out that it's because there's a disease inside the building that's turning people into zombies. They're running zombies, which is fair enough, something a little bit different, I guess. Although it's reached the point now where running zombies are almost more common than walkers, in my experience. But this was a really enjoyable movie, actually. It got a little bit weird towards the end, but overall it did do some quite intelligent things with the found footage element, which is always nice to see because it's become quite a tired medium at this stage, I think. But yeah, no, I've got to say, I did enjoy this movie. There's a bonus disc, I didn't even realise that. What's on its special features? There's a making of, some interviews, extended and deleted scenes, trailers. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, I quite enjoyed the movie. I have also managed to get hold of the sequel. This I haven't watched yet. So yeah, Rec 2. Fear Revisited. I don't know the situation with this. It's been just 15 minutes after. Okay, so it looks like this is like set like straight after the first movie. I don't know yet, but I'll check that out. And I've got the third movie. This is Rec Genesis. Again, I haven't watched this movie yet. No idea what it involves. There is a fourth movie, I think it's called Rec Apocalypse, but I haven't got that yet. I haven't seen it in the shops. From the looks of things, this one isn't linked in with the previous two directly, but yeah, no. If I like the second one, I'll check that out definitely. Okay, so TV show time now, and yeah, my favourite TV show, Red Dwarf. This is seasons 1 through 8. Basically, it's all the BBC Red Dwarfs. So there's basically there's 10 seasons of Red Dwarf. Basically, there's 1 through 8 which were broadcast on the BBC. Then there is Back to Earth, which occupies Series 9, which is 3 episodes. That was broadcast on Dave. And then there was Red Dwarf 10, which was also broadcast on Dave. They're just about to do Red Dwarf 11 as well. I haven't gotten around to buying any of the other Red Dwarfs, aside from the ones that were on the BBC originally. Yeah, but I do hope to, just to complete the set, if nothing else. Yeah, Red Dwarf is my favourite TV show ever. I think it's superb. It has a fantastic grasp on philosophy and all sorts of kind of discussions about morality and all of that sort of thing, politics, really intelligent interpersonal relationships in this movie. Yeah, and on top of that, it is piss your pants funny. So yeah, Red Dwarf, my favourite series. This doesn't have like any bonus features. It's just the episodes from series 1 through 8. It doesn't have like the extended episodes, the recut episodes. It doesn't have any of that or any bonus features or anything. It's just the episodes. But you know, that's cool. Yeah, so series 1 through 8 of Red Dwarf, like 52 episodes. So yeah, that's great. I love Red Dwarf. Next up, Speak of the Devil, my favourite Tarantino movie, Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, for me this is definitely his best movie. Yeah, it's like 90 minutes of really, really great storytelling from Tarantino, and in a really interesting way as well. Amazing dialogue, obviously. Amazing blood and gore. brilliant story. A gang stage a heist at a jeweller's. It all goes wrong, and they head back to their stakeout, where the events unfold and kind of leap back and look at the lead up to the robbery. It's shot in a very interesting way. It does keep you... I've got to say, obviously, I've seen this film loads of times, so I see all the twists come in, but the first time you see it, you're totally there with it. Yeah, Reservoir Dogs is a great movie. This particular edition comes with commentaries, deleted scenes. The deleted scenes are worth checking out. There's a couple of characters that actually got cut entirely from the film, which is interesting to see. Interviews with all the cast, all of that sort of thing. So yeah, Reservoir Dogs is a superb film. If you haven't seen that, what are you doing? Okay, next up, I haven't watched this one yet either. I picked it up because it was like 10p in CEX. I think Return of the Killer Tomatoes. I believe Arrow Video have got this coming out in the future, so I will probably sell it back to CEX as the price will go up. I know, it just doesn't look like my cup of tea at all. Yeah, who knows. Moving on. Next up we have Ripper. I picked this up in a charity shop because it stars Kelly Brook. And although the woman cannot act, she does have magnificent tits. So yeah, this is about a group of college kids in the US who basically are studying kind of like pathology and stuff, I think, or not pathology, but like criminology. And a string of murders start happening, and they set out to investigate / be, fodder for the killer. It was pretty crappy, to be honest. Kind of typical late 90s, early 2000s style slasher movie. I don't know. I managed to get through it. It was okay. It passed the time. So yeah, that's Ripper. Right, we've got a trilogy here. This is the Robocop Trilogy. I've only ever seen the first Robocop. I haven't watched 2 or 3. But by God, do I fucking love the first Robocop. What a great movie. Yeah, Robocop, the Paul Verhoeven movie, about a cop who is killed on the job, and is rebuilt as a robot half-man, half-machine to fight crime in New Detroit, I think. New Detroit, I believe. And yeah, basically he just goes around shooting people with a really long gun, beating the shit out of them with a stick that comes out of his hand, and sort of rediscovering his humanity. Yeah, Robocop's a great movie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen Robocop. Fantastic stuff. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Okay, next up, Rollerball, the original from the 70s of James Caan. Haven't got the remake, haven't seen it, don't really care to. Rollerball's brilliant though. Basically, James Caan plays Jonathan E., who is the top rollerball player in the world. Rollerball is basically a sport that's like a mix between roller derby, American football, hockey. It's basically just this really violent sport played in like a velodrome type arena where you score goals by grabbing like a metal ball that flies around the edge of the arena and taking it to your goal. So yeah, no, it's a really cool movie. Basically, it's like a sort of dystopian Orwellian state in which the kind of powers that be are trying to stop Jonathan E. and make him retire because they feel like his popularity is going to sort of encourage individualism. So their kind of way to try and combat that is to try and get him to retire is to essentially remove the rules slowly from Rollerball until the game becomes more and more violent to the point where people are like dying on the field and stuff to try and get him to retire. But it's, I guess it's a film about him trying to defy the system, which is cool. Yeah, Rollerball is awesome, actually. I've got to be honest. This has got like a feature-length commentary and stuff, so I'll have to check that out sometime. All right, next up, Saturday Night Fever. This movie, I like the movie a lot. I love the soundtrack. I definitely put the soundtrack album on a lot more than I watched the movie. Yeah. To be honest, I mean, Saturday Night Fever, quite a badly represented movie. It's essentially a movie about kind of a guy sort of getting an opportunity to kind of prove himself and kind of be, you know, to kind of come of age against a backdrop of kind of violence and disillusionment. But people remember it for John Travolta in a white suit dancing, which is kind of a shame, to be honest. But yeah, no, definitely check Saturday Night Fever out. Pretty great movie. And the soundtrack is superb as well. So yeah, Saturday Night Fever, good stuff. I've never seen the sequel, Staying Alive, but by all accounts that's pretty terrible. So, whatever. Next up, Saw. Now, this is one of the classics from my childhood that I remember seeing when I was maybe 11 or 12 at a friend's house, and thinking it was fucking brilliant. This is a good movie, man. The original Saw is pretty awesome. Basically, a couple of guys who don't know each other, seemingly don't know each other, wake up chained to pipes in a really dirty old public restroom, which clearly is no longer off public access, and try to work out how they got there and how to get out. Yes, dude, Saw is fantastic, really. Really interesting visual style. All sorts of good stuff. Definitely check it out. Yeah, like I say, Saw's a really cool movie. Great performances. Danny Glover plays a cop, of course. So I mean, yeah, it's totally worth seeing if you haven't already. Yeah, the first Saw is blinding. Not even that violent, really. I mean, the Saw films have got a reputation for, you know, blood and gore. There is a little bit in this, but not anywhere near as much as there would be in future entries. So yeah, check out Saw. I'm going to motor through these fairly quick. Saw 2, yeah, it's okay. If you've seen The Card Player by Dario Argento, this is very similar, the setup. Basically, you know, stuff going on video and people trying to kind of stop it, and it's not bad. Like I say, aside from the first movie, all of the movies in the series have got their problems to some extent or another, and it just got worse as it went on. Saw 2 is pretty cool. The editing kind of gets on my tits, though. You know, the editing style that was introduced in the first Saw that carried on throughout the series. In this, it was really overdone. Next up, Saw 3. I watched this last night, actually. Yeah, this is an okay movie as well. I'd say this is the best one aside from Saw, the original Saw. I definitely prefer the stuff with the dude whose son was killed. I think that's much better than the sort of main plot, if you will. Yeah, fucking, like, half the problem is that the Amanda character, what a shit character, man. Like, what a poorly written, poorly acted character. That character just really makes me not want to watch this movie. Yeah, but overall, yeah, this is where the blood and guts really started to become a major thing in the movie. So yeah, not bad. Saw 3's not bad. I've got to be honest, the rest of them sort of all mesh into one for me. Saw 4, Saw 5, that's an ex-rental. Saw 6 and Saw the final chapter. I've got to say, I mean, these three are all rubbish, essentially. But this one's double rubbish. Saw the final chapter. I do remember this because this one was brought out in 3D in the cinemas. So as a result, they had to make the general look of the film a lot brighter than the rest of the movies in the series. Obviously saw that most of the movies are generally quite grungy and dark looking, whereas this one's all very bright because obviously the 3D specs make everything look darker, so they were trying to keep it consistent. And the blood is really a really light colour in this. It's like a throwback to sort of like Hills Have Eyes or something like that with how light the blood is. It's very funny actually. But yeah, that's the Saw movies. Aside from the first one, I don't really like them. So yeah. That'll wrap it up for the week, I think, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'd really appreciate it. Link to our podcast in the description. It's called Ironcast. Go and check it out. Until next time, stay safe.